In 1995, a piece of footage shook the world. With a bigger worldwide audience than Live Aid, a piece of top-secret military film from Roswell in 1947 that showed the autopsy of an alien being was broadcast around the globe. The film was brought to the attention of the world by best friends Ray and Gary. Media frenzy ensues, which catapults Ray and Gary into the limelight. But the two of them have an even bigger secret, and if the truth got out, what would happen to them? Based on true events, Alien Autopsy is the story of two unlikely lads from London who became icons of ufology. From the director of Phoenix Nights comes Alien Autopsy, a surprisingly solid comedy from 2006 starring Ant and Dec. Of course, a film that stars British television personalities is bound to evoke some low expectations, but Alien Autopsy turned out to be quite good. It's well acted, there's some great chemistry in certain scenes. The recreation of the fake autopsy shoot I found to be a particular highlight. Whilst I do feel there were some actors who became a bit too much of a caricature and brought the film down in quality, the majority of the cast is really charming, and I just wasn't expecting to be as engaged in the story as I was. It might not be as funny as it could be, as there is some fine comedic talent within the supporting cast, but fuck it, it was still a well-told story. Alien Autopsy is well worth a watch, or two even, as it's technically an Ealing comedy which lives up to that name. It's far from what they were doing in their heyday, but the madcap, farcical charm is retained, as well as a distinct regional flavour. Much loved television personalities are being gruesomely dispatched using a variety of breakfast condiments, and the body count grows, so does the hysteria. There appears to be no stopping the breakfast serial killer as he marches relentlessly towards his ultimate goal, to kill Keith Chegwin. Well, this was shite. Should be noted that I hate horror comedies and daytime TV alike, so I was of course entering a world of hurt with Kill Keith. However, the marketing I found to be interesting, and I got it into my head I was receiving a film that, at its worst, could be a laughable failure. To my surprise, though previous experiences with British horror comedies should have prepared me, I was witness to some utter misanthropic dreck that wouldn't be out of place on the 1am slot on BBC Three back in 2005. Kill Keith lacks any control over its tone. Black and broad comedy don't mix, and Kill Keith falls into that common trap of media-savvy satires that become exactly the kind of obnoxious fluff that it beheld. However, since they got the actual personalities in for this one, I doubt any real commentary on its subject matter was on the agenda. I think the goal more, apart from exploiting what little star power its cast had, was actually, I think, that was the only goal. Everything else, after the fact I guess, was just a matter of money and self-respect. The events of Kill Keith slipped my mind even as I review this film, but what I can recall is that the film is a poorly constructed series of lame murder set pieces and cutaway gags that would make Seth MacFarlane cringe. If it's not the film's cinematography looking like piss running down a dog's eye, it's the overbearingly cynical dialogue which makes all characters completely unsympathetic. This would be fine if any single joke in this film landed, but alas, the only good joke was on me for buying this piece of crap. It's bad enough when you encounter a film that's trying too hard to be smarter than you. It's another thing to find a film that thinks it knows more about life than you do. But then again, I'm not a fan of horror comedies, so this is probably just navel-gazing on my part. However, it is easy to get distracted with a film such as this, because like most contemporary British comedy features it seems, Kill Keith is merely a bunch of tangents strung together with the most feckless of setups. A flicker of invention here and there, but too little to mention. Simply no way I can recommend something that seems to be enthralled with its own half-arsedness. The plot isn't important here. Shock and fucking awe, so I won't even bother. Let's just get right down to it. Is Keith Lemon, the movie, worse than Fat Slags? It's close. It's pretty damn close. Fat Slags had a non-existent plot which made the film feel like a bunch of terrible comedy sketches pasted together with safety glue. Keith Lemon, the movie, does have some kind of a narrative going on, and at times it does feel like some scenes built on top of one another, like a real movie. but most scenes are just there for Leigh Francis to jerk off in front of the screen. It's beyond tolerable, the narcissism on display at times. This fucking Jimmy Savile cunt doesn't have anything to offer apart from being a satellite for late 2000s internet humour. And yes, the film has dated as bad as that description suggests. The film is made up of nothing more than celebrity cameos and the extended showcase of a mediocre comedic talent. But then again, this is entirely my opinion. It just so happens to be the reality of things. A lot of money seems to have been thrown behind this film, so at least the cinematography is okay, I guess. Though I do get the feeling they could have done a lot more with the budget that they had. Nothing else really of note here. Keith Lemon, the movie, is simply put an extremely obnoxious film that Leigh Francis did not need in his resume, but goddamn he could simply not resist. I have seen some vanity projects in my time, but none have been more painful to watch as this one. Absolute vacuous shit. Right, to sum up, Alien Autopsy is a surprisingly good screwball comedy based on a fascinating true story. Kill Keith is a cheap and desperate affair that is both ugly on the inside and the outside, and Keith Lemon the movie is an insufferable vanity project that might appeal to fans but will simply fade away like other unquote British sex comedies. Ta-ta, farewell.